What's up guys, Nathan here, and today I'm going to give you my top 5 quick tips to start beating Zoom poker games. So Zoom poker, or aka fast fold poker, has become very popular in recent years. You might have played it online. It's also known under various other names such as snap poker, zone poker, rush poker, fast forward poker, blaze, all sorts of different stuff. It's all the same variety of fast fold poker, just like Zoom's. So all the tips on this list are going to work for any type of fast fold poker game online. Now, the biggest distinguishing difference between fast fold poker and normal poker is that you're moved to a new table each hand, kind of like a tournament almost, and therefore it is hard to get reads on players as quickly. And so a lot of the tips on this list are going to exploit that fact. Those are some of the biggest strategy differences that I make, that I suggest to my students who play fast fold poker. But overall, I want to be clear that fast fold poker is still fairly similar to any poker game that you've played before, so we don't need a world-changing strategy here. We just need to make a few slight adjustments, which we're going to get into right now. So tip number 1 to beat Zoom poker games is going to be 3-bet more pre-flop. All right, so what do I mean by 3-betting more pre-flop? Well, 3-betting is the act of re-raising pre-flop before the flop, right? Now, why is this effective specifically in Zoom poker games? Well, it goes back to what I just mentioned before, is that you get moved to a new table after every single hand, and there's often hundreds of players in the entire player pool in a Zoom poker game, especially if you play low stakes, and therefore it is very difficult to get reads on players. So what do we want to be doing in an environment like this? We want to be bluffing more early on, especially before players get reads on us. So one of the best ways to do this is to take some speculative hands, such as suited aces, for example, like ace 3 of diamonds. These are an excellent hand to make a re-raise semi-bluff with pre-flop, because these hands have tremendous card removal, meaning that the ace blocks other aces, meaning that it's less likely that they have an ace in their hands. And also these hands, even if we get called, we have an excellent backdoor strategy, because these hands typically have around 33% equity versus a big pair like pocket kings or pocket queens. They can also make the nut flush, top pair, you get the idea. But the bottom line is, when we re-raise pre-flop, we're looking to take the pot down, and we're going to take it down the majority of the time because our opponent at Zoom poker doesn't know anything about us. And what do players do when they don't know anything about you? You've probably heard it before. I'll lay it down and I'll wait for a better spot. So I hope you guys are following me here. This is going to be a theme on many of the tips in this list, is we take advantage of what I call the information gap early on when players don't know anything about us, and we take advantage of this by making some more light bluffs. Now, we're doing it with hands that have some value. Once again, I'm not going to do this with 10-5 offsuit or some nonsense like that, right? So it's important to pick your spots, but this is an excellent strategy to get ahead in Zoom poker games. Do a few more light re-raises pre-flop early on, especially in your session, before anybody has a read on you. All right, so tip number 2 for Zoom poker games can be building off this same theme, which is to run more big bluffs after the flop. Now, once again, you want to be making sure that you're doing this in the right situations. You know, I made a couple of videos a few weeks ago talking about running big bluffs. I walked you through some example hands step by step. I'll actually link those in the description below. And if you watch those videos, you'll know that I specifically talk about how a successful bluff in poker requires that you're telling a believable story. Specifically, that the board run out, the flop, turn, and river fits your perceived range, depending on what strategy you use pre-flop. Is the pre-flop caller or raiser? I'm not going to get deep into that in this video. Like I said, I've made videos already on that. But the bottom line is, once again, we're exploiting this idea in Zoom poker games that they don't know anything about us yet, so we can take advantage of this. Once again, players are much more likely to give you credit early on when they don't know much about you. If you run 5 bluffs against them in a row, they're going to start looking you up. But the first couple you can often get away with, and that is why my top 2 biggest strategies for Zoom poker are to just start bluffing more, especially early on. But once again, make sure your bluffs make sense. Make sure you're doing it with hands that give you outs. You know, don't run stone cold bluffs with bad hands. Always give yourself a chance to hit some lucky card on the river, for example, even if you get called. So tip number 3 for Zoom poker games is going to be to use a HUD. Now, I've been a big proponent of using a HUD for many years now. These are the numbers you can get on your screen that gives you data on the players you're playing against. This is extremely helpful in online poker for getting better reads. This also helps us study our game and improve away from the poker table. I use a program called Poker Tracker. I'll have links to it in the description below. So why is using a HUD so important in Zoom? Well, once again, you're often playing against hundreds of other players, especially if you play low stakes. It's just going to be impossible to keep good reads on all of these players. And so why would you not use a HUD and let it do the work for you? It's going to help tremendously when you're in a hand versus somebody else. Maybe they're trying to run a bluff against you, like I just talked about, and you'll have the data on your screen to know what kind of player type you're up against. So if possible, I would suggest trying a HUD at least, if it's allowed on the site that you play on, because I think it helps tremendously with fast fold poker games. All right, guys, so tip number 4 for Zoom poker games is going to be to master a basic, tight, and aggressive strategy. Now, the idea with Zoom poker games is you are playing a ton of hands. It's called fast fold poker for a reason, that you're going to get a ton of hands. The action is fast and furious because people can just keep hitting that fast fold button and boom, you're getting so many hands. So you need to have a solid bread and butter, tight and aggressive strategy like I teach in my free poker cheat sheet, which will be the top link in the description below. And basically that involves being highly selective with the hands that you choose to play, paying close attention to your position at the poker table, specifically playing most of your hands around the button and the cutoff, which are the statistically proven most profitable seats at the poker table by far, and then following that up with an aggressive strategy on the flop, turn, and river as well, depending on the board run out, but keeping your foot on the gas pedal, leaning on them, putting pressure on them in key spots. Once again, I've already put together a free poker cheat sheet. It's around 50 pages long, and it walks you step by step through a basic, tight, and aggressive strategy. I would highly recommend studying that, reading it. It's totally free. It'll be the top link in the description below. All right, so my final tip for Zoom poker games, tip number 5, is to develop strong tilt control. So guys, like I just mentioned, Zoom poker deals hands incredibly fast, around 3 times as fast as a regular online poker table, and a regular online poker table already deals 3 times as fast as a live poker game in a casino. So if you're used to playing live poker specifically at the casino, this is going to be like trading in your Toyota for a Ferrari. It's going to be going a lot faster now, and you need to be prepared for it. And specifically what I mean by that is you're going to get way more bad beats, coolers, setups. All of this kind of stuff is going to come at you much faster than you're used to. It's too much for a lot of people, and that's why I would suggest only playing one Zoom table at a time to start with. But the bottom line, guys, is you can't allow yourself to get frustrated and start throwing away money, playing poorly when the inevitable bad beats start happening. Guys, as I mentioned many times before in these videos, getting unlucky in the short term is an integral part of this game. It's what keeps the fish, the bad players, coming back for more, is that they get to get lucky sometimes. And when you're playing fast fold poker, sometimes they're gonna get lucky a lot in a short period of time. And you need to be able to keep your cool when this happens and not throw away all your money like everyone else. So guys, bottom line, if you're feeling tilted and you're playing Zoom poker, my best advice, honestly, is to just quit for the day. Don't sit in there. Don't try to be Captain Comeback. It rarely works out. When you're feeling frustrated, when you see that you're starting to make bad plays at the poker tables, bad bluffs, bad hopeless call downs, all that kind of stuff, get yourself out of there. Don't throw away money like everyone else does while they're on tilt. I have much more on that mental side of the game as well, by the way, in my free poker cheat sheet, which again will be the top link in the description below. So I hope this video was helpful for some of you guys out there who play Zoom fast fold poker games like this. I know they're very popular online and they are profitable, but you need to bring the right strategy. Once again, the biggest strategy difference for me when playing Zoom poker games is to bluff early on in the session when people don't know anything about me, because this is when you tend to get the most credit. Once again, people will lay it down and wait for a better spot, but once you bluff them 5-10 times in a row, they're not going to lay it down and look for a better spot anymore. they're going to start looking you up. So take advantage of that information gap when they don't know anything about you early on. And also I'd recommend using a HUD, mastering a basic tight and aggressive strategy, and having strong emotional tilt control, because the bad beats, guys, in Zoom poker are going to come fast and furious, and you need to be ready for it. And if you guys want to see more poker videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel here, and also shove all in on that like button below if you found this video helpful in any way. As I mentioned before, I'll include a link to my free poker cheat sheet. It's the top link in the description below. It's a step-by-step little free guide. You can read it in 30 minutes. I'll help you start crushing the small stakes Zoom poker games. And finally, I will leave another poker video right here that I made last week that I think will help you guys out some more. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. This has been Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com.